We've been taught that rest is a reward for a job well done. Sis, let's call that what it is. It's a lie straight from the enemy. Rest isn't the finish line, it's the fuel for the race. If you wait until you're done to rest, you'll never actually sit down because the list of expectations on a woman never actually ends. Welcome to episode 2 of the Holy Kingdom Purpose Podcast, a production of Her Virtuous Purpose. I'm your host, Natalie Trotman. In our last episode, we talked about the freeze. We looked at how your amygdala, the security alarm in your brain, trips the fight, flight, or freeze response. We focus on the freeze because so many of us are living in a state of paralysis, staring at a mountain of laundry or an inbox full of demands and feeling like we just can't move. Today, we're going to look at why that alarm keeps going off, why we are still trying to run our lives the same old way when we're already gone bankrupt. There's a famous quote that says, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. And sis, if you want different results, you've got to do something different. Let's be honest. The way we've been doing it, the grinding, the constant doing, the carrying it all alone, it's clearly not working. It's the very reason you're feeling that weight of anxiety. You're experiencing that tension because deep down, you know there's more. You know you weren't created just to survive. Yet, you're stuck in a cycle that says you have to. We're exhausted because we're trying to be the architect of a life that Christ already designed for us. Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So until you're aligned with your calling, that specific purpose for which God created you, you'll never find true fulfillment. You can check every box and win every award, but you'll always be haunted by that quiet whisper in your spirit saying, there's more. That whisper isn't there to shame you. It's there to remind you that you're called for a different level of presence. Think about all the hats you wear: mom, devoted wife, career woman, PTA liaison, counselor to your teenagers, teacher, night shift nurse to our sick children, ministry leader. The list is exhausting just here. We've been told that checking every box is what makes us good women. But I'm here to tell you, honey, sister, girl, you are not the sum of the hats you wear. Your most important title is beloved daughter of the Most High. Before you were a wife or a mother, you were God's beloved daughter. He said in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Sweetie, he's the architect, the designer of your life. Most of us are exhausted because we are trying to be the architect, the contractor, and the laborer all at once. In Jamaica, we call that head cook and buckle washer. We think if we just think more positively or try harder, we'll find what's missing. But that's just more doing. That's just more of that masculine hustle we mentioned in episode 1. Now, I understand we have responsibilities. I'm not saying we throw in the towel. I'm saying we have to be intentional about how we use our energy, honey. I lived in survival mode for a few years, and it was the hardest season of my life. I literally felt like the walking dead. Low energy, defeatedness, hopelessness. Yet I had to get up and make the family function, even though I wasn't functioning. I was checking all the boxes, cooking, cleaning, looking for employment, but I was dying inside. If you've been living like that, your brain has essentially paved a superhighway to stress. It becomes your default setting. You don't even have to try to be anxious anymore. Your mind just goes there automatically because in survival mode, it's the path of least resistance. But Christ commanded us to yoke with him. In Matthew 11, he promises his yoke is easy and his burden light. And I am a living witness that it works. Partnering with Jesus was the sweetest prescription for my mental health. He doesn't just show you the path, he walks with you so you don't have to overexhaust your operating capital, also known as your mental health. The superpower of a woman of Kayil isn't her ability to rewire her own brain. It's her willingness to surrender to the one who designed her. Now, just because we fired ourselves as the architect doesn't mean the old thoughts won't show up at our door, so to speak. Ooh, this is where I introduce the stewardship of the mind. We literally now need to talk about the stewardship of the mind, which take a look at Proverbs 4 and 23, where it tells us to guard your heart with all diligence. In Hebrew, that word diligence means lebab. It's your command center, your mind, and your will. The Bible is telling us to stand guard at the door of our thinking because everything else, our joy, our parenting, our health, our mental health, flows from there, flows from our thoughts. Think of your mind like a front porch. Every day, the enemy drops off packages. Here's where we go wrong, right? We see a package with our name on it and we immediately sign for it. The enemy rings the doorbell to our emotions and waits for you to agree with the lie. The moment you do, you've given it permission to come inside. My porch used to be covered with them. Packages labeled, I'm out of time, or I'm failing my children. I used to bring them in. I used to sit with them and let them consume my energy. But Second Corinthians 10:5 says that we need to take every thought captive. In the Greek, the word captive is aikmalotizo. It means to take someone at the point of a sword and lead them away. Now, I want you to listen real closely. Like I am leaning into the mic right now because this is so important. This isn't a suggestion. It's a military arrest. So stop trying to out reason a lie. You don't argue with a thief trying to break into your house. You have him arrested. You don't invite Mrs. You are not enough for tea. You pull out the sword, which is the word of God, and you arrest it with the truth. If a thought doesn't sound like love, goodness, or prosperity, it's a counterfeit. It doesn't get clearance, yeah? These days, when a lie pops up for me, I don't let it simmer. I reject it instantly. I literally smile and exclaim, Jesus, I love you. It shifts the focus from a lie to a truth. The devil has to flee in the presence of that kind of phrase, sis. But let's be real. You can have the best boundaries in the world, but if your battery is dead, you aren't going anywhere. Most of us treat our bodies like smartphones. We run until we see the red 1% blinking or even the screen goes black. But sis, if you wait until you're at 0% to stop, you aren't resting. You're recovering. Recovery is what you do when you're broken. Rest, on the other hand, is what you do to stay healthy. I was the queen of pushing through. I was drowning without a life jacket, yet I was trying to be the lifeguard for everyone else, and it cost me. I ended up with adrenal fatigue syndrome. My body stayed in stress mode for so long that my system just burnt out. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. And then I would sleep and felt like I didn't sleep. My body finally forced me to stop because I wouldn't listen to the warnings. I realized that in order to get through this, you need a person. You need a safe harbor. My person was a sister friend who let me stay with her for 5 months. Now, it wasn't planned. We certainly didn't decide that I was going to stay with her for 5 months. I was just sharing with her some of what was happening to me, and she just invited me to come and stay with her. And it ended up being 5 months. I, during those 5 months, I rested. I must say that it was the most rest I've had in years up until that time. And it's also important that your person has some resources where, because you can't truly rest if you're worrying about if they're okay having you there, if they're able to pay their bills, if you are running up the water or the lights, or if you're eating too much food. I did not have to worry about that. My sister friend sincerely took care of me and my son, and I was truly able to rest. So I understand that a lot of times friends and family, they want to help. They have the best of intention. But if you're truly going to rest, you can't worry. You can't jump out of the fire, out of the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. So be careful about your person. You need a person, but it must be the right person. It was during that time with my sister friend that I went into a 21 days of prayer and fasting session. By day 5, I felt like I was dying. My mind told me to give up, but I tarried. I wasn't fasting for a feeling. I wasn't fasting to feel better. I was fasting for my life. It was in that brokenness I discovered that I didn't just need to recover. I needed to remain in God's presence. I realized I had been a Christian all my life, but I'd never truly appreciated just being with Him. My connection was based on traditions, not personal relationship. I decided then that my rest would no longer be a medical necessity. It would be a new standard of life for me. And I kept that determination. Now I choose to rest. I rest before I'm even tired, honey, because I am stewarding God's temple. Even Jesus took time away to rest. Mark 6 says that Jesus says, "Come away by yourselves and rest a while." So Jesus didn't wait until the disciples fainted. He called them away while the work was still happening because he knew that rest is the fuel for the work to be effective. So the dishes might be in the sink, but they'll be there after you've recharged. Love yourself enough to rest because you cannot love your husband if you're married, or your kids if you have children, or yourself if you are too broken to feel anything but strain. I want to give you a way to practice this. I'm giving you permission right now to take a 5-minute pivot every single day this week. Today is Sunday. I want you to do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Every day this week, you're going to give yourself 5 minutes. Don't wait until you're stressed or your head is throbbing. Pick a time. Maybe after the kids are at school or before you start dinner. And step away for 300 seconds. No phone, no noise, no list. Just be a beloved daughter choosing to sit with her father. You're teaching your brain that your peace is a priority. You're guarding your operating capital, your mental health before it dips. If this helped you, please follow the show so we can keep talking. Come find me on social media at Her Virtuous Purpose. I want to hear your questions, and if you know a sister running on 1%, share this with her. Let's help each other. Stay healthy. Before I go, I want to be clear. I'm a mental health coach, but I'm simply a vessel. I don't have all the answers, but I know the one who does. John 14:6, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Because He is the way, I want to remind you that the rest we discussed today isn't just a physical break, it's a spiritual alignment. While the coaching tools and the biological insights I share are designed to help you steward your health, they are not substitute for professional advice. If you are struggling with chronic issues, please reach out to a healthcare professional. We want to be whole in every sense. spirit, soul, and body. I'm your coach, Natalie Trotman, encouraging you to stay purposefully in His presence because He is where the joy is.